This is a video as your introduction to the Odyssey. Most of this information is coming from David Adam Lemming's The Odyssey and Introduction. The entire document, if you want more information, can be found on the Modules tab of our Canvas course. So, some important facts about the story to get us started. The Odyssey is actually a sequel to the Iliad. The Iliad is a story about the Trojan War, a war our main character, Odysseus, fights in as a soldier and a commander. The Odyssey has 3 storylines. 2 of these storylines, unfortunately, we will not be reading. The main storyline is Odysseus' long journey home from war. It takes him 10 years to do so. The Odyssey also follows Telemachus, Odysseus' son, and Penelope, Odysseus' faithful wife. A man named Homer, picture on the right, is given credit for writing the Odyssey. However, we know little to nothing about him. All we really have is speculation. We'll spend some more time discussing Homer later on. Last important fact is that the Odyssey has become a model for the epic or long journey home, and is more widely read than the Iliad. The form of the poem, the Odyssey, is called an epic poem. The epic poem is a long narrative poem that tells a story about a hero or an adventure. These heroes embody the values of their civilization in some way. Odysseus will embody the values of Greek civilization and culture. The Iliad and the Odyssey were originally told aloud by people who could not read or write. The stories were composed orally according to a very basic storyline. The story is in this form so that it is very easy to memorize and recite in front of a large audience. But most of the actual words were improvised, made up on the spot, in a way that fits a particular rhyme or meter. The singers of these stories had to be very talented, and they had to work very hard. They also needed an audience that could listen very closely. An epic is also going to utilize what's called an epic simile. These epic similes compare heroic or epic events to simple and easily understandable everyday events that the audience would recognize instantly. Below you have an example from the Iliad, when Athena prevents an arrow from striking Menelaus. Odysseus is not your average hero. He's what we call a hero in trouble. In Homer's day, heroes were thought of as a special class of aristocrats. They were placed somewhere between gods and ordinary human beings. Heroes experienced pain and death, but they were also very sure of themselves and very on top of the world. Odysseus was not known for his physical strength or ability, but for his intelligence, his brain. We can relate to Odysseus because we share with him a sense of being somehow lost in a world with difficult choices. Like Odysseus, we have to cope with unfair authority figures. Like him, we have to work very hard to get what we want. In the Odyssey, gods and mortals have a lot of similarities. Gods control everything and interact in human affairs constantly. Myths are stories that use fantasy to express ideas about life that cannot be expressed easily in realistic terms. Myths are essentially religious because they are concerned with the relationship between human beings and the unknown or spiritual realm. As you will see, Homer is always concerned with the relationship between humans and gods. Homer, we believe, is religious. For him, the gods control all things. Athena, the god of wisdom, is always at the side of Odysseus, helping him figure out what to do next and plan. This is appropriate because Odysseus is known for his mental abilities. In Homer's story, a god can be an alter ego, or a reflection of the hero's best or worst qualities. For Odysseus, Athena can be considered one of Odysseus' alter egos. She reflects his best quality. The god who works against Odysseus is Poseidon, the god of the sea, who is known for his arrogance and a certain brutishness. Odysseus himself can be very violent and cruel, just like Poseidon. Poseidon can be considered an alter ego for Odysseus to show his worst qualities. Last part of the presentation, just saved some pictures from when I took a trip to London on my honeymoon. We went to the British Museum. This picture on the right is one of the first scenes we're actually going to read in class. Odysseus is the center figure. He's kind of dark, so I apologize, but he's the center figure, and his crew, his companions, are helping him drive a stake into the eye of the Cyclops, who is on the far right side. The vase itself came from southern Italy from about 500 BCE. So on the left is the Muse of Comedy. At the start of the poem, a speaker addresses a muse to inspire him to tell the story well. He doesn't actually address the Muse of Comedy, but I was just happy to find one of the muses in the museum. On the right is a siren, a half-bird, half-female monster that Odysseus will encounter during our reading. That's it. Remember to rewind and pause wherever you need to so that you have thorough notes and you are ready to jump into the Odyssey next class.